first question is for Mr. Armstrong. I know, Mr. Armstrong, you've been had some concerns about how the Augustine report has been utilized by the administration. And for those who believe that the Augustine report is as the basis for calling the Constellation program unexecutable, I kind of want to get your thoughts on that, because I don't believe it is, and I want to get your thoughts.
Thank you. I remember hearing that unexecutable very early, and so I looked at. I couldn't find it in any of my dictionaries, so I just tried to guess what it might mean, and it mean no execute. That could be it can't be performed, or it could mean it can't be killed. I don't know which of it. It seems to me that in studying the report, and I think the report was a very good one, considering the fact that that they had a small number of members on the committee, admittedly assisted by NASA people and others, and a very short time to judge new programs, which were largely undefined, against what they call the program of record, I think, and that was developed over, as this committee knows well, over a long time period of many years, with hundreds or thousands of people looking at it. So it's very difficult job for them. The second part, that they were obliged to look at the program of record as limited by the 2010 budget, which was substantially below the 2009 budget and indeed significantly below the 2011 budget. My expectation is, had the ground rules been different, their findings would have been different. So they had a built-in barrier toward making a what I would call an equitable judgment. Having said that, I do think they did a credible job with the report, and it is well written.
Thank you very much for that answer. My former boss, Phil Graham, might agree with you. If your definition of non-executable is something you can't kill, he believed that the hardest thing to kill in the world is a government program once it gets enacted into law. So thank you for your answers. Captain Cernan, real simple for you. Given where we are, what would you do going forward to keep us on that path and maintain our leadership in human spaceflight and keep our exploration capabilities greatest in the world?
Well, very quickly, I think I alluded to that in answer to an earlier question. I'd find out what the real capability of getting Ares, the real time frame for getting Ares Orion, full up Orion in the Earth orbit is. And I'm just making an assumption that it's 2015. And I would fill that gap with the shuttle for all the reasons I mentioned earlier. The gap is going to be so significant to us if we don't close it. And we need to close it from both the front end and the back end. And the only thing on the front end is what we got flying today, which is a shuttle. What we got on the back end that can do it as quickly or quicker than anything else is Ares 1 Orion. And during that period of time, as Ares 1 evolves into a heavy lift booster, we can then decide and make plans for space exploration to follow. Now, if that means we can do a flyby to an asteroid or a flyby the moon while we are then moving forward step by step to develop Altair, a lunar landing capability, that's fine. But what I said earlier, we need to say from this point on is that's the destination. That's where we're going. Whether we get there in 2020, 2018, 2028, I don't care. And for all those kids out there, they need to know what their future has in store for them in terms of, let me just say this. Space and aviation has been a romance for over 100 years. And that's why we're here today, and that's why a lot of people perhaps are on this committee. And the legacy of the Wright brothers is not the fact that we can fly higher, faster, and further than anyone else has ever flown in the world before. But the legacy is the dreams that they inspired in the hearts of all of those who followed in their footsteps. And that's what I'm talking about when we need to provide a destination, a plan, a future for these young kids out there. My grandkids, I'm selfish. I'm concerned about them.
And so I'm asking, what are the trade-offs of investing in engine development to achieve lower costs versus saving time by using or modifying existing engines? That would be open to all of you. Mr. Armstrong?
Thank you. We know an awful lot about rocket engines. I've flown on 13 different kinds. We know what the specific impulse is for almost any combination of propellants. We know what expansion ratios do. We know what the material costs of case and the weights of material cases for liquid and solid rockets, and that doesn't mean there won't be advances because there will with additional research. Nevertheless, we know pretty well right now how to build a big rocket, or a middle-sized rocket, or a little rocket, and we know the trade-offs for the different component configurations that we can choose from. So, well, I think there are small increments to be gained by additional research in rocketry. My guess is that we can today build a pretty decent rocket in almost any size range that you designate. So I suspect the decisions that were made as a result of the choosing the Constellation program, which largely were based on schedule and affordability, would not be changed much by more research. You might find that certain other combinations have slight advantages and disadvantages, but I don't think there'd be any game-changing kinds of decisions from that.
Mr. Young, did you want to comment?
Yeah, I would.
Thank you.
I think first off, NASA does need a focused space technology program, so my comment doesn't mean to be as of that. But the only prerequisite we need to getting on with a heavy lift launch vehicle is funding. I mean, we have the ability today to proceed with a heavy lift launch capability. We'll probably develop some technology work as we go along in the implementing of the program, but getting on with it is not being paced, in my view, by our ability to do it or our need for technology. It's only paced by funding.
Could you answer the question as to what kind of funding it would take to accelerate that?
I don't know that I can really answer your question. You know, what I'd really like to say in response to that is that that's why we have a NASA. And NASA has extraordinary capability to answer, you know, questions like that if they're given the opportunity to do so. So I would, you know, I personally would be quite comfortable with NASA being given the assignment of what resources would it take to do a heavy lift and how soon can we really get on with it.